Today we will be discussing Neo-Luddism, a philosophy rooted in skepticism of technology and its pervasive influence on society. This philosophy draws inspiration from 19th century English textile workers who violently protested the Industrial Revolution. Modern-day Neo-Luddites share their predecessors' concerns about the unchecked technology, arguing that it often comes at a significant cost to society and the environment. In our discussion, we will look at the roots of this philosophical movement, the principles expressed by its proponents and, of course, criticisms of it. So, how did the philosophy of Neo-Luddism begin? The movement began when English textile workers protested against the mechanization of their craft during the Industrial Revolution. While there were earlier protests and sabotage of industrial machines, the peak of these protests occurred between 1811 and 1817. The original Luddites feared that the introduction of machines would lead to job losses and economic hardship. They also believed that the new technologies would alienate workers and erode traditional craftsmanship. In response, they engaged in a series of protests and acts of sabotage, targeting factories and destroying machinery. In some cases, the Luddites violently attacked not only the machinery but mill owners and managers as well. Eventually, English authorities called in 12,000 troops to quell the violence, and strict laws were enacted to punish the protesters. These draconian measures effectively put an end to the movement, although some protests happened from time to time. It also gave rise to similar political philosophies such as socialism and anarchism. The philosophy of Neo-Luddism gained renewed attention in the 1990s, as concerns about the impact of new technologies such as personal computers and the internet along with the economics of globalization began to grow. Neo-Luddites argued that these technologies and associated economics were leading to a more fragmented, isolated, and unequal society. These days, the term Luddite is sometimes used as a pejorative term for those who have a fear of technology. For example, someone might say, "My boomer dad is such a Luddite. He can't even use a simple flip phone." However, it has also become a broader critique of technology, encompassing concerns about environmental degradation, social isolation, economic inequality, and the loss of individual autonomy. Neo-Luddites believe that our relentless pursuit of technological advancement often comes at too steep a price, leaving a trail of negative consequences. While there are a number of variants of Neo-Luddism, with some focusing on environmental concerns and others focusing on socio-political areas, they often share a form of the precautionary principle. This central tenet advocates taking preventive measures to avert potential harm, even in the absence of definitive scientific evidence. Neo-Luddites argue that the often unpredictable and irreversible consequences of new technologies warrant a cautious approach, emphasizing the need for thorough risk assessment, public dialogue and evaluation before widespread adoption. Neo-Luddites think that the precautionary principle is particularly relevant in the context of emerging technologies, such as AI, where the potential for negative impacts may be difficult to foresee or predict. Let's look at how the precautionary principle encompasses a range of considerations. Some Neo-Luddites express concern about the potential for new technologies to cause environmental damage, such as pollution, resource depletion, and biodiversity loss. They advocate for robust environmental assessments and regulations to minimize these risks. Some even go so far as to advocate for various forms of neo-primitivism. Others believe that technological advancements can have significant negative socio-economic consequences, including job displacement, widening inequality, and the erosion of privacy. They emphasize the need for policies that mitigate these impacts and ensure that technology benefits society as a whole. Some bring up the inherent uncertainty associated with new technologies, recognizing that unforeseen negative consequences may arise. They advocate for a cautious approach that avoids irreversible actions until the long-term implications are fully understood. Many Neo-Luddites emphasize the importance of designing technological interventions that can be reversed or mitigated if unforeseen negative consequences emerge. They advocate for flexible and adaptable approaches to technology implementation. Some also believe that decision-making regarding technological advancements should be open, transparent, and involve public participation. They advocate for mechanisms that allow for public scrutiny and meaningful debate about the potential risks and benefits of new technologies. Of course, there are some additional principles found in Neo-Luddite thought. Some express concern about the social implications of technology, particularly its potential to isolate individuals and erode community bonds. The pervasiveness of digital technologies, they argue, can lead to a decline in face-to-face interaction, weakening social ties and fostering a sense of alienation. The rise of social media and the pervasiveness of digital communication, while fostering virtual connections, have also been linked to increased feelings of loneliness and social isolation. Moreover, technology often favors the already privileged, widening the gap between the wealthy and the underprivileged. In the same way, Neo-Luddites point to the widening economic inequality that is being exacerbated by technological advancements. They argue that the rapid pace of technological change often benefits a select few, while leaving many others struggling to adapt, leading to job displacement and widening gaps in wealth distribution. They often advocate for ideas like universal basic income. Neo-Luddites also raise concerns about the growing concentration of power and control in the hands of technology corporations and governments. They argue that the increasing reliance on technology has made individuals and societies more susceptible to manipulation and surveillance, eroding personal autonomy and democratic principles. The environmental impact of technology is another primary concern among Neo-Luddites. They argue that the relentlessly blind pursuit of technological progress has led to widespread environmental degradation. This concern has led some into embracing various ecological protest methods that are similar to those of the original 19th century Luddites. However, we should note that Neo-Luddism is not a blanket rejection of all technological innovation. Rather, it advocates for a cautious and discerning approach to technological development, one that carefully considers the potential consequences instead of engaging in a relentless pursuit of technological progress. As you can easily guess, there are a lot of criticisms of Neo-Luddism. Let's take a look at some of these. Critics argue that Neo-Luddism's cautious approach stifles innovation and hinders progress. They believe that technological advancements have historically led to significant improvements in human life, and that an overly cautious stance would prevent future breakthroughs. Critics say that this philosophy overlooks potential benefits of new technologies. They say that technological advancements can provide solutions to pressing challenges in many areas such as healthcare, environmental sustainability, and economic development. Other critics view Neo-Luddism's vision as utopian and impractical. They argue that technology has become inextricably woven into the fabric of modern society and that a complete rejection of it is unrealistic. Critics also point out that those proposing a return to simpler times or abandoning technological progress don't provide clear solutions to common problems currently solved by technology, such as medical advancements. Neo-Luddism is sometimes criticized for underestimating human adaptability and resilience in the face of technological change. Critics argue that history has demonstrated that humans have consistently adapted to new technologies and found ways to mitigate their negative impacts. Some critics point out that Neo-Luddism often rejects new technologies out of fear and ignorance and is not serious about a nuanced approach that considers both the potential risks and benefits. Critics argue that open dialogue, informed by scientific evidence and diverse perspectives, is essential for making correct decisions about technology. They assert that Neo-Luddites often dismiss public discourse when it doesn't align with their opinions. In the same way, critics note that some advocate for a blanket rejection of technology, disregarding individual choices and preferences. Critics argue that individuals should have the freedom to choose the level of technology they want to incorporate into their lives. They think that an individual should have the choice of simple living like the Amish or embracing the latest technology. Neo-Luddism is sometimes criticized for focusing on technology as the root cause of societal problems, rather than addressing underlying issues such as inequality, environmental degradation, and political corruption. Critics argue that these problems require systemic solutions, not just a rejection of technology. So, what are my views on Neo-Luddism? Well, I guess that's kind of obvious since I use some of the latest technological advances in AI to create these videos. I'm considering doing a follow-up video that discusses AI versus Neo-Luddism. Let me know if you would be interested in that. But, I don't entirely dismiss some of the concerns Neo-Luddites advocate. The precautionary principle should be applied to some technologies that have obvious dangerous implications. Too often I see technologists using science fiction shows like Black Mirror as a template instead of a dystopian warning. What are your thoughts on Neo-Luddism? Do you think they have some good points or are they just wackos? Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. Please give me a like if you enjoyed this video and please comment to let me know your thoughts on it. Also, check out our other videos about other philosophical topics.